This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Immersive Van Gogh, immersive friends, immersive trolls. There seems to be an immersive experience for everything these days. But House of Illuminati, a live events company based out of London, wanted to take immersion one step further. They wanted to create an interactive theater experience based on the whimsical world of Willy Wonka. But what promised to be a golden ticket event ultimately turned out to be a massive wangdoodle.
It promised to be a magical chocolate experience at every turn, but instead it ended with children crying, parents angry, and the police called to the site.
What is that?
That was not bad, that was funny.
Generally not a good idea when the internet compares your event to a meth lab.
This is a story of promises and expectations, of technology and humanity, and of how a world of pure imagination descended into pure chaos in just 48 hours. This is the story of Willy's Chocolate Experience. Introducing the latest Squarespace ad, starring me and my fabulous feline friend, Fluffy. Do you need a website that's as sleek and stylish as my mustache? Well, look no further than Squarespace. With easy-to-use templates, drag-and-drop design tools, and sleek blogging tools, you'll have a website up and running in no time. And if you're anything like me, you need a website that can keep up with your caffeine addiction. Squarespace is the perfect website builder because it's like having a professional web designer live in your computer, just waiting to make your website dreams come true with the click of a button. Squarespace, for the man who can't juggle coffee mugs, but still wants a killer website. So go to squarespace.com/waitinthewings and use code waitinthewings to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Immersive theater isn't new. The off-Broadway show Sleep No More has been sending audiences scurrying around a 5-story hotel for the past 13 years. But the idea of swapping out a dimly lit hotel for a whimsical chocolate factory in Glasgow, Scotland, sounds on paper like a recipe for success. From the looks of it, this type of experience wasn't new to House of Illuminati. The website for the event company boasted larger-than-life events, like Mystique galas, secret soirees, and interactive theater experiences. Their next event promised to be just as big. For months, their Facebook page posted photos of these visually stunning environments, like the Tunnel of Nightmares and Willy's Magic Garden. And at $44 a head, expectations continue to grow. On February 14th, 2024, House of Illuminati declared they were only 10 days away from opening Willy's Chocolate Experience to the public. There was just a slight problem. They didn't have a cast yet. 2024 was going to be Michael Archibald's year. An artist and youth representative in the Scottish Parliament, the 18-year-old started considering a gap year at his university.
The point of the matter was I wanted to get a job. At the end of the day, I just wanted to build myself up and make some money and really just calm down for a really little good bit. I'm Michael Archibald. I am 18 years old and I applied to be part of this Willy's Chocolate extravaganza that is now blown up. The one time I decided to go out and look for a proper little job thingy that I didn't get through a different organization, I was like, I can do this. My CV looks great. So I signed up on Indeed.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do.
That's when he found an acting job offering £500, about $630, for 2 days of performances.
I was looking up stuff and then they were like, actors needed urgently, and I was like, oh, well, that's really chill. So I applied on the Thursday the 22nd, and I got a call back later on that day. And they were like, hey, can you come in tomorrow for a costume rehearsal? And I was like, okay, sure, that sounds fine.
Just one day after getting the job, And one day before opening, Archibald and the rest of the Indeed recruited actors journeyed inside Willy's chocolate experience. Given the breathtaking renderings and the lofty ticket price, the group expected to enter a maze of these enchanting gardens and mysterious tunnels. Instead, they walked into a nearly empty warehouse. With a wrinkled backdrop and a couple of beanbag chairs, the director of the House of Illuminati, Billy Cole, tried his best to explain how the performance was going to go. The self-described enigmatic wordsmith hailing from the bustling streets of Glasgow, Scotland, specifically noted that he'd been working on the original idea for a long time. As Archibald put it, Cole wanted Willy to be a whimsical sort of Albert Einstein. In all, there were supposed to be four Willys. One played by Michael Archibald, another played by a comedian named Paul Connell, a third actor who's asked to remain anonymous, you'll figure out why soon, and a final Willy played by a girl named Felicia.
The folk that were cast as Willy Wonka were really different from each other. And he was like, I'm really equal and diverse, and he goes on to talk about Felicia, right? And he's specifically singling her out for this. And he's like, and see, we hired this 16-year-old black African girl, like, and this is like a similar thing that I have to go through, by the way, where they're like, look at us, we do such good work. This poor young boy with no parents, no family, none of this. We're providing him with a great little thing, and I'm like, oh, you guys are so great, right? So I was talking to Felicia about it later, and even she thought it was absolutely bonkers.
After signing their contracts, with erasable ink pens, as it turns out, provided by Cole, the group of actors sat on the beanbags and started to read the script. As Willy Wonka actor Paul Connell referred to it in an interview with Access Hollywood, it was 15 pages of gibberish, and they had less than 12 hours to memorize it.
My name's Jenny, and I was an Wonka at the Willy's Chocolate Experience. I was just kind of in disbelief. I was like, there's no way they expect us to learn all this before, for the next morning.
Now, I'm going to try my hardest to recap this, but I'm just going to be upfront. This is not going to make sense. So the show starts with a man of eccentric charm and wit welcoming people to the show. His name is Willy McDuff. Buckle up, because this is Wonky Doodles at McDuff's Chocolate Factory, a script. That is the literal title. So after a few too many winks, McDuff asks the audience if they've packed an extra pair of socks. In case the first pair gets knocked off by sheer amazement. Willy then takes the visibly amused audience into his garden of enchantment. So then once they're inside the garden, the audience is greeted by Willy McDuff's magic helpers. Only they're not Oompa Loompas. They're Wonka Doodles. Anyway, after he finishes handing out a bunch of magic glowing orbs to the audience, he takes them into the Twilight Tunnel, TM, and he tells the tale of the unknown, who is a evil chocolate maker. But then, the unknown shows up, and they have an evil plan to steal the anti-graffiti gobstopper, which is a candy that helps save beloved mums, and yes, dads too, but especially mums, from the endless scourge of dirty socks. I feel like I'm on drugs. So somehow, after the unknown shows up, McDuff is supposed to just ignore this, and then he leads the audience into another room that is described on the website as the Imagination Lab, TM. and it's bustling with test tubes and new candies and fizzy lemonades. And then from there, what happens is a high spectacle battle royale for control of the anti-graffiti gobstopper. This light beam filled fight ends with Willie McDuff hitting the unknown with a wave of sparkling cleanliness. And the unknown proceeds to be gently swept up by a robotic vacuum.
Everyone was confused, but we found it absolutely hilarious. We just thought, oh, this is highly unprofessional.
We were just kind of in shock of it. Like, each page we were like, there's more. How does it keep going? And just kind of asked like the owners, like, you see the this bit with the unknown, what does that mean? Like, what? Who's playing that? Like, why is there a Hoover here? Like, it was just...
Did they have a vacuum cleaner?
No.
After the cast traded contact info and went home to memorize, a team worked through the night to transform a nearly empty 23,000 square foot warehouse into a chocolate factory. The next day, a crowd of families who drove hundreds of miles lined up ready to cash in their golden ticket to Willy's chocolate experience. But inside, the actors paced with dread over what was about to happen. So the original plan called for 4 Willy McDuffs, and they were each supposed to lead a 45-minute tour through the chocolate factory, like an assembly line. Meanwhile, 4 Wonky Doodles, each a pair of 2 actors, were gonna switch off every cycle. This plan abruptly changed when Cole realized he didn't actually cast an actor to play the unknown. Acting fast, Cole cast one of the Willies to don the silver mask as the evil chocolate maker. By this point, the show was already off the tracks, but it completely derailed when Billy Cole made a truly mystifying decision. You remember this script? This 15-page script filled with magic stones and twilight tunnels? Yeah, Cole decided that morning to scrap it, and he told the actors to just make things up. With a 10-hour shift ahead and a shortage of performers, many actors wondered how breaks would work. Cole allegedly responded by saying, "You're not getting a lunch break." After holding back the crowds for as long as they could, the doors opened and the first handful of families walked into the Garden of Enchantment.
I walk through and I'm like, oh, this looks horrible. Because I didn't even get to see that place beforehand.
I thought the whole warehouse would be filled. I thought they had a lot more work to do, and then the next morning we came in and they had just put curtains up.
I thought there would be so much more as well, but there was like 2 props, a table, and like the tiniest bit of lemonade. Like it was a shot in a plastic cup.
Instead of a garden filled with giant lollipops, waterfalls, and dream-catching butterflies, there was a bridge, kinda, a couple of big mushrooms, and a flamingo. The Twilight Tunnel, TM, was a couple of black and white striped sheets with a mirror at the end for the unknown. Meanwhile, the Imagination Lab, TM, looked like something straight out of Breaking Bad, with the Wonky Doodles forced to ration their jelly bean supply to just 2 beans per child.
There was 80 glass test tubes full of jelly beans, but there was hundreds and hundreds of people coming through, and we were told with each group just give a test tube full of sweets to 1 child. But obviously, like, I've worked with kids before, you can't just give like 1 child and be like, you're the one getting the sweets. Also, health and safety, you can't give a kid glass. That's when we decided to like open up the test tubes and just give, like, ration them out, because there wasn't enough sweet spot. Like, they ran out of sweets.
The huge empty warehouse made the few props that they did have stick out worse than a ball pit at DashCon. At one point, McDuff actor Michael Archibald pulled back a curtain and found a stack of boxes from Temu. However embarrassed or angry the actors were, they still didn't want to disappoint the kids. And so they did their best to give them a memorable experience.
Oh look, it's a chocolate river.
What is that? It's the unknown.
Here. Pair of socks. The extra pair of socks.
Oh my God. Stare the great unknown.
Paid £40 a ticket for this. What a waste of money.
So the costume looked exactly like this because this was the costume. We had 3 Willy Wonkas in total, and because there was only 2 costumes, we had to switch out. One of the other Willy Wonka actors, he had been up for so long that when he came back around, his whole thing was drenched in sweat. And I was like, I have to wear this. Like, are you dead serious?
We were handed a Amazon box. It was so lucky that we were wearing tights and stuff underneath. These were like the adult versions of the Oompa Loompa outfits.
While other actors got a couple minutes to take a break in between costume changes, the unknown was trapped behind that mirror the entire time.
Yeah, I ended up bringing her like a bag of like pick mix sweets, handed them behind the mirror to her because she was like the only one. She was the only unknown, so there was no way she could get a break even if she wanted to.
In between cycles, Archibald got out of costume and went up to families to see what they thought of the experience.
So they're telling me about the fact that they've come from miles out. These kids are like disappointed, and I'm looking to some of them, I'm so sorry. But I'm like, and by the way, over there is Billy Cole. I was like, that's your guy. Go tell everyone, and I'm gonna slink away. And it was just a domino effect from there.
So the House of Illuminati guarantees.
The House of Illuminati tells lies.
No,
I want your name anyway.
We guarantee a full refund starting from Monday.
No,
okay, if you do not receive the refund,
I'm going to call the police.
If you don't receive the refund,
because you're now into liquidation, you're no longer a company.
No,
is that why you don't have pictures up of your stuff?
No,
it's actual Photoshop stuff we put up.
We use artificial intelligence to generate.
So yours are fake.
No, absolutely.
Yours are fake. That's why you don't advertise exactly what the thing is about.
The images advertising the event looked a little too good to be true. And that's because they were. The images on the House of Illuminati website and Facebook page were generated entirely by AI. And honestly, it makes sense the closer you look at these posts, where you have these fancy, colorful images sitting alongside promises of cat-gagatting, carchi-tons, and a paradise of sweet teats. The Twilight Tunnel, TM, graphic featured some baffling scales tracking levels of dim dick, ungrivel, and unkikibit twits. It wasn't just the Wonka experience ads though. The entire House of Illuminati website was AI generated. A closer look reveals audience members' arms morphing into bald heads and human bodies just jutting out from people's chests. The only articles written on the website were all posted on the same day in December 2023, with no real photos of any past events. Nothing about the company was real. Not the artwork, not the descriptions, hell, not even the company's London office address. And there was a reason. A month before their website popped up, House of Illuminati didn't even exist. The company officially formed in November of 2023 and only listed one employee, Billy Cole. As it turns out, this was just one of 3 companies Cole created in 2 months. Willy's Chocolate Experience was one in a long list of hustles by Cole, including a Christmas donation drive he canceled after receiving all the presents, and a self-help course promising to help people become financially freed. In a move that would make Ernest Hemingway blush, the enigmatic wordsmith miraculously found time to write and release 3 full-length novels on the same day. Cole's Amazon page boasts more than 16 AI-generated novels, including classics like Operation Inoculation, Unveiling Thee, a conspiratorial journey into vaccination deep state conspiracy. So knowing all that, it's safe to assume that Wonkadoodles at McDuff's Chocolate Factory, a script, was probably AI generated too. As Cole fought off a horde of angry Scottish parents, the remaining actors made the most logical decision of the day. They decided to go to the pub. When the group of actors finally came back a little bit later, they saw 4 police vans and a frantic Cole. In the end, the cops realized there wasn't really anything they could do, and the House of Illuminati canceled the remaining performances of Willy's Chocolate Experience. When all the actors signed up, they imagined a simple way to make 500 pounds. What they weren't expecting was for it to turn into a global phenomenon. Images and videos of the baffling event spread online. Suddenly, major news outlets like the New York Times and Vanity Fair reported on it. The Oompa Loompa Queen dominated Twitter, and fan cams of the unknown, along with investigations into their identity, took over TikTok. Some even dubbed it the Fyre Fest for Kids.
I thought it would have been like a legal issue. I thought it would have been like, oh my god, like makes the Glasgow Times a little bit. But the way this blew up,
I can't believe people care about this. I'm trying my best to make the best out of the situation.
As of March 5th, 2024, the actors still haven't received the pay for their full contracts. The male actors received 250 of their promised 500 pounds. The female actors received 200. In the 2 weeks since, Billy Cole has gone MIA, completely scrubbing his social media accounts. The same goes for the House of Illuminati Facebook page, which only recently posted a bizarre apology declaring that regarding a personal matter, there will be no wedding. A few days later, the unknown finally became known when they revealed their secret identity on TikTok.
Hello, I'm Felicia, I'm 16, and I am the unknown.
So, what will the legacy of Willy's Chocolate Experience be? Well, it's way too soon to tell. But one thing's for sure, it won't be forgotten anytime soon. That being said, just because a show starts in one random location, that doesn't mean it can't still make it big. Click on this video to learn about how a musical based on the Percy Jackson novels managed to go from a school cafetorium to the bright lights of Broadway. And all without any workers' rights violations. Also, support the channel on Patreon to help us continue making these documentaries. What a Wonkadoodles. Come on. That's so good. No one's talking about the Wonkadoodles. We gotta talk about the Wonkadoodles more.